Hello, hello, hello. Testing, testing, testing. Hope everybody could hear me. Hello, good evening, good afternoon, or even good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you for your attention and welcome to Race, Reggae, and Culture, where we will be discussing issues and topics within the reggae industry. We are your hosts for the evening. I am Solo Banton, and this is the lovely Kaya. Kaya, say hello.
Welcome, everyone.
Hello, good evening.
We are hoping to engage people in a conversation tonight, discussing issues which have been relevant to a lot of people for a long time. So if you'd like to get involved, we'd welcome you to join in on the discussion. So if you go on Mad Professor's Facebook page, you'll find a thread. If you're looking to share the event, if you share it as a watch party, the discussion thread will come up in everybody else's posts. So just be aware of that. Also, if you feel like you want to contribute, but you don't want to say your words publicly, you can send an email to finbar_rebellion. That's Finbar with 2 R's _rebellion@gmail.com.
Okay, so what we're going to do, how we're going to do this is, obviously we have some questions already that we're going to pose to a panel. And then like Kaya said, everybody in the comments, if we see, we will try to bring in as many comments and maybe other questions as they come in to do that. So yeah, let's introduce the panel, Kaya.
So our first panel member is Neil Ariwa, aka Fraser, aka Mad Professor. From wiring his own radio transmitter out of a light bulb and wooden radiogram as a child to becoming a pioneer of musical engineering, contributing to lovers rock, reggae and dub music for over 40 years. Please welcome Neil Ariwa Fraser.
Thank you very much. Hello, Kaya. Hello, Solo. It's great to be here, and it's nice to see younger people than myself partaking in such a, well, some would say delicate and some would say controversial topic.
Necessary.
But I guess it's got to be done. Yeah, it's got to be done.
So let me just introduce the rest of the panel there, Prof, if I can, please. So to you we have Askala Selassie, who is a prominent force in today's reggae music industry. Performed at most major festivals on a regular basis, alongside the likes of Kabaka Pyramid, Luciano, Mahdavieh, Mikey General, and also been on tour with the original Wailers, a real warrior empress trotting through a man's world and such a strong voice in the upliftment of Black people. Good evening, Askala. How are you doing, sis?
Yes, Rastafari, love, and more love to each and every one. Give thanks for being here, and it's a pleasure for me to be here, be a part of this necessary, I think it's a necessary conversation that needs to happen. So it's a blessing that I am here to share my point of view, and it's a Rastafari perspective that I can only come from, and an Empress perspective. So yeah, it's a blessing to be here. I'm looking forward to the controversy. I saw you say, Mad Professor. Yeah, so Rastafari, I love, wanna know, blessing.
Yes, sir.
It is a great honour and pleasure to welcome Vivian Jones. For over 40 years, Vivian has been one of the cornerstone singers of UK reggae. Growing up in Jamaica and singing in churches as a child, Vivian began working with the band Spartans, which included Aswad and Misty and Roots in the 70s. Today, he continues to perform live shows, regularly releasing music, and owns a long-time label, Imperial House. Welcome, Vivian.
Yeah, man, greetings and love, seeing to everyone. Prof, Askala, seeing, yo, Solo, bless up.
Love,
and
King.
you, Kai, bless up yourself. Yeah, man, pleasure to be here with you all, because this talk you need to be talk,
It's good to see you, brother. And the
yeah,
final member of the panel this evening is an actress, a broadcaster, a singer, a CEO, like the talent is endless. From appearing in successful movies like Notting Hill and Another Hood to regular theatre performances at the Hackney Empire and Catford Broadway. Presently, you can see her on Sky TV hosting, and she is the CEO of the TV show called The Shining Stars. It's Allison Mason. Good evening, Allison. Is she with us, Allison?
Allison, your mic's off.
Turn on your mic.
Sorry, excuse me. Greetings reaching out to you, Solo. Thank you for that lovely welcome. Also to you, Kaya, and all the panel members. I'm very honored and blessed to be here amongst everyone here tonight. And as you know, we've said this already, it's a delicate conversation, but it's vital, absolutely.
Yeah, man, bless up. Bless up.
Bless it, love, bless up.
Definitely vital. So just quickly before we get started, I know we said we was going to go straight into the questions after we introduce everybody, but can we all just appreciate Allison's background?
Yes.
Because it's a serious thing.
Yeah, man. Turn up, man. You turn up high, man.
I love it so much.
Yeah, man.
I love it so much.
I should have come with you there.
True, Vivian.
Shall we get started?
Yeah, shoot. Go ahead, Kaya.
Okay, so we've got 3 main questions for everybody tonight. And the first one, it focuses on reggae and the mainstream media. The questions itself are, how do the roles of white gatekeepers impact reggae in mainstream media? And what can white artists, promoters, and businesses do to support reggae reaching mainstream media?
Who would like to take that first?
Prof.
Always got Prof.
Boy. All right. Normally I would have said the ladies first, but
That
I'll
question
jump
is
in
a
if you
new
like.
question.
Sorry?
I said that question is a new question. So can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I can. So the first part of the question is, how do the roles of white gatekeepers impact reggae in mainstream media?
Well, I would just like to take that point and say that there is a great impact, because when you have white gatekeepers for our culture and our music, there is a tendency to actually dilute the message and to dilute the Africanness within the music. And it might be seen as too militant, too aggressive, or too powerful. So what happens is a lot of the more maybe conscious or militant music maybe isn't given the exact airtime as it should be, because we have the white gatekeepers who don't really understand it, or who might be even afraid of it.
Yes, I would like to follow that up by saying that from the late 60s to up until the 90s, almost every year or two, we had a reggae record naturally crossing over, right? But since the music has become more of a international thing with a lot of white gatekeepers, what has happened, there's been like a tampering. I'm not too sure whether it's subconsciously or whether it's consciously, a tampering and a dilution of the content. I mean, for instance, a lot of artists, when they producing records, and you see that now even out of Jamaica, as they produce artists and they think, right, this record, I'm gonna have a lot of buyers from Germany, I'm gonna have a lot of buyers from Spain. I want to say this, but I'm not gonna say this because it might be too sensitive to them, or it may not be appreciated by them. So there's a unnatural tampering tampering with a form of, well, it doesn't even have to be message music. You know, there is things that different people like for different reasons. I mean, like in the 70s, we would go to dance and there would be like roots music, there'd be lovers rock, there would be funny tunes like say Skenge, you know, tunes like Pluto Sherverton, that, you know, which is like a form of country reggae. There would be a variety of reggae. But what has happened, you know, as we start to make music, because we're making it for this person to appreciate and that person to appreciate, the music get weaker and it became more unnatural. And it's quite serious. And for some reason or the other, we haven't had like the natural crossover, because reggae is a very infectious music. So music, first it reminded people of the Caribbean, you know, when you had no internet, you had no way of like being reminded of the sunshine. So the music was the thing that linked us all together. And then suddenly, you know, it's gone somewhere else, you know?
I feel that so far in my career, it's all about the business and it's all about the money. So ultimately for me, what I have seen, if you've got money to make your tune go to #1, you could be talking the most foolishness. It doesn't really matter what you're talking about. As long as you've got the money to pay these same gatekeepers, or you, it's not about what you know or how good your song is or your talent, it's about who you know ultimately. So for me, what I have seen so far in this industry is that it's an industry, it is a business, and people want to get paid. They'll play your music all day and night. They'll put your tune on power play, everybody up play your tune, as long as you're coughing up your money. And it's all about money, it's all about economics, it's all about how, you know, who you know as high up in the business. Most of the people, the higher you go or the higher you climb, they are not Black people. So that's how I feel about that question.
Yes, Vivian, sorry, okay. Vivian, go on.
Yeah, you see, by being in this business for so long, you know, you get to learn a lot of things as you go along. Mm-hmm. You know, say, from years and years, we used to have like every now and again an artist or a group like Simran's get a small deal with a major company, or Aswad or Steel Pulse get a deal with a company. And when you get a deal with a major company like them can afford to, you know, promote the thing and make it go as far as it can go. See, and that did work for those artists who get that little deal. There's something happened for them. But the thing is now, the way the things stay now is that we, as reggae music, are Black people, we are here, and for us to get through the door, to get to any of them company there, that's why Prof come up call them gatekeeper. See? But you're talking about the people them who control like the A&R man them and all these people them. You have to get past them. See, and sometimes what I found in the early years is that them all have this attitude like say, well boy, them go and play God. Wherein if you don't accept what them give to you, then nothing now work. And then we spread the word around and say, well, boy, you cannot deal with that man, you know, because that man, him kind of unruly, or him this or him that. Wherein all we was doing is just sticking up for a right.
Yeah.
And as an artist, I find that the worst thing a producer or any one of these gatekeepers could have come say to Vivian Jones is, no, we want you to change and do it like this and do it like that. You can't say that to me. because I'm an artist who write, sing, create, produce. You understand what I'm saying? And all of that come from who I am. See? So because that is a heartfelt thing and inside of me, I definitely not going to agree with you, with the gatekeeper there, and say, well, boy, yeah, all right, I will change. Some artists might, you know, they might want to do that because they might look for the limelight or whatever, if they move forward in that direction. But it wasn't a thing for me. And the main thing about those people, them, the gatekeeper, them, most of them was white people. And that was the problem with we, because they're not just gonna let us through the gate, seeing, with what we have. Because what we have is great. What we have is powerful. So they wasn't going to do that. And when you look at the whole thing, it come back, we can really bring it back to from slavery. And they were our slave master. So them now go come give it a thing for make we rise above them.
So let me ask you a question then. In knowing that we have the power, then, in knowing that we have this product that the world loves and everybody that the world loves and everybody wants.
Yeah.
Why? And I understand what you're saying. I completely understand what you're saying about the a slave mentality, just obeying the master. But apart from that, why do some artists then feel they need to dilute the thing to make it reach somewhere? Because Burning Spear never dilute the thing and he reached somewhere. Bob never really dilute the thing and he reached somewhere. Many, you know, so where did this ideology come? Where did this sellout thing come from?
Money.
It's not,
right.
Hold on there. Because I just say one more thing. It's not just the money thing. Listen to me good. Seeing music. Everyone love music. Seeing? And the thing about it is that some man them go up on stage because not because of the talent what them have, but them have some money or them have some contacts where them can go in and do certain things. So when them reach all the gatekeeper and the gatekeeper say, yeah, turn around that way there and do it that way there, them are go do that.
Exactly.
Because them is some them did it because of ego. Them not really did it because of talent. And one thing you must check, you know, with England, England don't respect talent. Because when you look at the things like X Factor and all of them things there, if you don't sound or look like how them want you to sound and look, see, you're not going nowhere. If your size if you have size or body on you and you have the most beautiful voice and whatever, and you are singing a full-bodied voice, you know, it's not that. It's not that. That is not what they want. See, and more time you find, so instead of them coming and go Ariwa, when Ariwa did have how much artists line up, seeing with tunes in the charts, when we did have the charts and all them things there. Seeing if them did go them, so them could have find some wonderful artists to go and go work with. Seeing, but what happened? At the end of the day, you know, is the deal, because them go and tell Prof, say, Prof, we are going to give you this and we're going to give you that. But oh, you will give me that and give me this, and it's my thing.
That's exactly the point. Yeah.
That's not going to work. But as I said, every man do him thing a little way different, like Errol say, you know. Every man do him thing a little way different, and a man is a man. You can't talk for a man, because a man will go out there and do what him feels are the better thing for him. So who want to do that. But the ones who didn't do that are the ones who are sitting here so today.
That's I agree, because picking up from what Vivian said, just put reggae music aside. Let's just look at Black artists, okay, in the UK. If you can tell me which pop artist is Black and has made it internationally. This is England, they love their pop music. Who's the Black Beyonce of England, or Rihanna, or whoever you want to say? There isn't one. There isn't no Michael Jackson or UK. So let's put reggae aside and just put it as black music. In this country, I'm still looking, to be totally honest with you. You have to water down yourself. They're trying to make people water down themselves. And people like I and I that are here, not going to do that, because like Vivian said, we are songwriters and we're going to write what is in our heart and express ourselves. And it's not a sellout thing. This music is here to uplift people, to inspire, to educate ones and ones about who we are, because we need to do that. We need more of that. I need that for my youth. So we need to educate each other. We need to uplift one another.
And can I just take it even another step further to add to what Askala and Vivian are saying. As you said, if we just take reggae music out of the equation for a moment, if we just look at the state of the status quo within this country, we are at the very bottom of the pile, and that is done deliberately. You know, when we go for healthcare, or we go for employment, or we go for housing, or even in education, there's a thing that's called the Equal Opportunities Form that we have to put, whether we are Black African, Black Caribbean, Black British, whatever we class ourselves as. Then you have, and if you notice, the white is at the top, then you'll have white other moving down throughout the other races. But black is always at the bottom, and there's a reason for that.
Yes.
We are given and dealt the worst hand in every level of society, whether it's in education, where children in education today, black children are still only able to attain a C level. Why is that? When they are putting in the same work as their white peers and counterparts, but they can only get a C qualification grade, whereas they can reach for an A or a B. So in housing, we are given the worst housing. We are given the worst medical treatment. So we have to look on the whole systematic approach to us as a race of people, why we are being systematically targeted.
Thank you, Allison. That was an important point to make. And it again went back to something you said earlier around the diluting of Africanness. And as Askala said, if we take this out of it being reggae, it's actually across genres. But one person from the discussion thread has said something, what about grime artists like Stormzy?
Well, give thanks to grime artists like Stormzy. There's so many of them because I love them all, but that's not pop music. We're talking about, I particularly was talking about pop. Grime is, you might as well say that's UK hip hop, basically. That's a different kind of genre, and give thanks for them. Man like Stormzy and Santan, what you call these, Dave Santan and all of these people, because they've taken Black music in the UK to a different dimension. And even Dave, Santan Dave, I think he calls himself, on the Brit Awards, he has a song called Black, which I love also. And he made sure he's basically just talking about the struggle that Black people have been through. And he made sure he went on the Brit Awards, and he could have done any of his hype tunes, but he didn't. He made a statement. And we need more things like that. I did see that person say about Stormzy. So yeah, bless up for that. However, that's not pop music. And we live in Britain where it's a pop place. And there's so many amazing singers. Where are they? Stormzy's a rapper.
So let me ask a question then, just for a conversational point then. The same way that we're talking about the grime artists, I feel, do you believe that the grime artists, like as you mentioned, Dave and Stormzy, have realized their power and sticking true to what they do? And would you suggest then that going back to reggae, that there's more reggae artists that need to realize their power and stay true to what we do and stay true to the message that we give?
The problem,
for sure.
Yeah, go on, Matt.
Yeah. I was gonna say, the problem largely is because we were here before, right? and we did not face up to the fight. We did not challenge the establishment. We didn't challenge the BBC. We didn't challenge Capital Radio. We didn't challenge like Smooth FM. Because like I keep saying, there's no reason why Smooth FM and Magic couldn't have a Lovers Rock program. There's no reason why One Extra or even Radio 1 or 2 couldn't have a dub program or Roots program. I mean, the spectrum of reggae is so wide, they put everything lumped up together for one little 1 hour or 2 hour show with music that if you like dancehall, you probably wouldn't like a dub track. And if you like a Lovers Rock, you probably wouldn't like, dancehall. Everything lumped up on one. And yet the frequency is there. And yet the population and what the population like in the UK has changed in the past 40 years. People love more and more reggae. When you go to a festival, even a white pop festival, and you walk around the festival and you go from tent to tent, what you hear? You hear reggae. So the people love reggae. I mean, the amount of normal white people who would know a tune like, say, Chase the Devil, Max Romeo. They know things that hasn't necessarily crossed over because it's been crossing over by itself on the ground. But yet, you can't really hear those things on a radio program. What the grime people them done, they went in and they pressured, like the Indians, they went in and they demanded our people, because of our legacy of slavery. A lot of us don't want to appear controversial. A lot of us don't want to ask and don't want to fight because we think that we could even be victimized or we could have our tunes them not played. So we don't say nothing. We just, we might complain to each other. Yeah. We might complain to each other and say, boy, but when come to the system, we don't actually complain to the system. One of the replies I had from the BBC about 2 weeks ago, because I'm always writing them, the guy came back to me, the complaints department. He said, we don't know what's the matter with you, because everything is all right. I said, how do you mean everything is all right? He said, nobody else complains. You're the only one that complains. Everybody else is happy. And I mean, I was speechless at that point because if nobody else is complaining, then, and it's only me, then I'm the one looking like a troublemaker.
So problem two, does that then, is that a generational thing then? I say that because maybe in our generation and above us, when our parents came here, they it was easier to keep your head down and not make a fuss. And do you think the hardcore reggae generation has been brought up under that, whereas maybe the generation after us, which is the grime generation now, are a lot more rebellious because we taught our children to be more rebellious, whereas we was told, don't make a fuss, don't answer back. Would you put that down to a generational thing then maybe?
No, I don't think it's generation, man. I think people are just complacent. I really think they're not hungry enough, and somehow
I think it's a bit of both, personally. Yeah. I think it's a generational thing because my mom never brought me up to lay down and make anybody walk over me. However, her parents, like Solo said, would have been more like, no, man, everything is all right. Because at the end of the day, when my mom came to this country, racism was turned up so loud that you can't even walk down the street. You can't even go in a shop because it was black, white, no, what was it? Black,
no dogs,
Irish,
no blacks, no Irish.
Yeah, so I do think that at the end of the day, it is a bit of complacency because the reggae artists of today, they're just like, oh yeah, I'm still getting my bookings, I'm still getting my, but they're not trying to look out for the people coming underneath them, like the people, the youngers. They're not trying to look out for us, basically. So everybody's just complacent where they are, but they're not looking at or trying to bring the youngers forward. And that's where the grime artists have come in, and they're just coming in with a force.
But yet, funny enough, reggae is more international than grime, because I tell you, grime is mainly in England, whereas reggae is all over. Yeah. It's just that most reggae artists are not marketed as international artists. Now you have a lot of white artists coming in that probably have the marketing and the budget, and a lot of them riding on the reggae, you know, on the reggae train. You take, for instance, California.
Yeah.
California, they specialize in white boys playing reggae, you know, and they're headlining all the festivals and everything, and they're marketed all around. They're selling in Australia, they're selling in New Zealand. You don't see black artists coming in. You see, boy, the system gone funny.
Yeah, and it seems to be really deliberately aimed in that direction, as you're saying about. I don't think the artists are complacent. The artists try to hustle the best that they can within an industry that isn't really recognized on the mainstream level or platform. So they're not going to receive royalties from radio airplays, even though their songs might be played all the time on community radio stations. But the artist isn't going to receive royalties from those airplays. They're going to have to do stage shows, specials, dub plates. You know, the artist has to be a hustler, basically. And the actual industry is just totally underground. And there's no other industry that has to function and exist in those, you know, in that existence. So there is a serious reason why reggae music is diluted to such an extent that it's driven underground as an industry, when at the same time it's being prostituted and raped, and it's being used to sell everything from soap powder to a holiday. But yet the people who actually make the music and produce the music and promote it are not recognized in a legal term.
Yeah, couple of things. You see, Prof, when them come tell you, say, everything all right, and why? Because you're the only man that complain. We are very proud people, number one, seeing? And we're not going to keep knocking on your door to make you come this way and run way. We're not going to keep knocking on your door, because let me tell you something, we build an industry, a reggae industry here. And I know producers and singer, musician, them go to work 9 to 5, and them come home at night time, and then we go on a rehearsal or studio, and we do shows and them things there, right? And the reason for that is, you know, is the way that we love the music, and we're so proud of ourselves. We're not going to just go and take any rubbish from anybody and make people come abuse we and refuse we. No. So we spend the money and go in a studio and make the tune them, and go back at work at 9 to 5 and find more money for press the tune them and put them out a road, and people buy them. So imagine now if we did have some form of backative wherein we could have got to a major company and say we have this and that. Everything set up, you know, because it's a racist system, you know. And you're the racist system set up now. It's set up, say, well, boy, we're not going to get our music played upon national radio. Because if we get played upon national radio, we're going to earn royalties. So we're not going to get that. And another thing, when you talk about grime, seeing, and you talk about reggae, a totally different something, because England does not cater for conscious, educative music. England don't, there's not in that. And another point, when we talk about artists, and you said, somebody said, who is the Beyonce of England and all them things there, right? Hear what happened, see? If you check in at the last 10 years, no, don't make we go so far. Make we say 5 years. Name me 2 or 3 artists, as we say, who have gone internationally, like one of them youths there, them white youth, they will just come in at the business and him is the biggest selling and all of this and
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, that is the name I'm looking for, Professor. See, him not write as much tune as me. See, I know that. And the amount of tune where me have as where people love, I know same not have as much as me. See, but hear what happened when it comes to the wealth. See, because where him going, there is no gatekeeper. There is no gatekeeper. There's no one to say this and that and that. He's going to get you and him going to go all the way. The whole system set up is a racist system. Because as I said, we're not going to get no royalties from airplay. PRS, who we joined from 1987, seeing when it was free, them don't business about we reggae, them will collect, because the amount of artists I know from England, Jamaica, who are members of PRS. PRS could easily say, right, we're going to do a festival every year. PRS could easily say, right, let's introduce some of this music to on the other side. They're not doing that. So because that's how the system set up to keep we down. And the next thing, you see how we are talking about, because as from 2020, me is not black anymore. Me is more African. Me is not black anymore. Because a classification that makes us lower than every other man. See? So therefore, the whole system is just set up on a racist system. And that's why we, as I said, me not going to keep knocking on a door. Prof, 1979, me got Island. And them tell me, say, well, they're not too much interested in the UK artists now because they've got the whole of Jamaica. That's what I was told, and it wasn't a black man who told me that. You see what I say?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Instead of me, I go keep knocking on them door and them going to abuse me. I go work 9 to 5. Me go work 9 to 5. When I had Sugar Love at #1, I was still working 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And through that money, every week money I have to put on for go press that tune there or go record that tune there. So I say, so it's not because say, well, boy, we're complacent or we not hungry. See? It's because they get them.
That's right, Vivian. We've been ignored for so long that we do it ourselves while we are maintaining that 9 to 5. But, can you imagine if an artist like yourself was able to just focus 100% on your music like the other artists can do it? Because the gatekeepers keep us down and keep us out. We have to be doing the 9 to 5. You cannot be an artist and just concentrate solely on your artistry. And that's a crying shame within this business.
So
I do feel like at the end of the day, I'm the type of person who is all about the doing. I'm a doer of Jah word, I'm not just a hearer only. So ultimately, it's okay talking about what has happened or what happened before, or yeah, we have a 9 to 5, because at the end of the day, my mentality cannot be that, oh, I'm not going to have no good medication or medical health because I'm going to depend on NHS, or I'm not going to buy a house because I'm going to depend on the council, or I'm going to wait for PRS to put on a show for me. I will, if there's not enough people sending emails, Prof, we need to make sure that you see next month or next week, 10,000 emails go at them at BBC then. That means that we need to come together and we need to do it in unity and in strength, because we don't have a strategy. We can't just sit here all the time saying, oh, say, why we can't do this and that, because how do we move forward? That's the whole point of having a discussion about like this. At the end of the day, how do we move forward? How do we make it easier for the little teenagers who are coming up and want to sing reggae music, Yana? Or what do? We can't just say, oh yeah, you know, instead of thing hard and red, because that's not empowering anyone. That's not gonna help us as Black people. We can't just sit here with a struggler's mindset, that hustler's mindset. Like you said, we're hustling. I can't be hustling, Brethren. I'm not on a hustling business.
Let me just come in there. Let me just come in there and read some comments there, because somebody has just said the same thing that a scholar is just saying there. It says, what can we do? Sorry, what can we do to have black run big events and festivals in the UK like they have in Europe now? Is it not time for us to come together and do our own instead of depending on
exactly. And for me, I feel like where it starts, you can't tell somebody, okay, yeah, we're gonna come together and we're gonna unite. You need to start, my Black people or Africans, as Vivian said, you need to start. You see, when you get your money at a week time or a month time, you need to start putting a little £10 now, because you can't say you're going to build an empire and you're not even a save £1 for yourself. You see, Corona come, enough people are cry out because they're hungry, because they didn't think that these things, you didn't make no foundation, no preservation for yourself. You do not have no foundation for yourself. So as Black people, you have to start. Change has to start from yourself, first of all. So I would like to say to my Black people then, put something aside for yourself, so that there's no way that we could come together and unite and say, we're going to put on a festival, because these things are not free and are not cheap. Or we're going to say one artist, we're going to unite, and you see, we're going to put on a festival with Solo and all of Bad Professors, artists, and Vivian, and all of we come together, because these things take money and they take effort. And in order to do that, you need to have something to input. We need to be able to input. The hustler mentality, now make it again.
I'll make it, but you see what we need, and that's what you're talking about. We don't have the economic power to make these strategic plans and to make these big festivals that you're talking about. Until we do have that economic power, we will, as Vivian was saying before, it's like we are always begging the oppressor.
I don't agree.
But the thing is, all on the scholar there. There's a fact that's been servicing that I don't know the exact figures, so don't quote me on the exact figures, but Black people are the biggest spenders out of every race.
So we have the money.
Like our economy, let me just finish a point. Our economy is like worth 1.2 trillion or something like this, you know? I don't know. So the money is there if we spend it amongst ourselves.
That is the point I was going to make.
Ourselves and build an economy ourselves. The money is there. It's not that it's not there. But again, that's going back to what Vivian was saying with the slave mentality, that we're not valuing ourselves to put money into ourselves in that way.
Hold on.
Sorry.
I can just make this point before we move up, see? Okay. Empress Askala.
Yes,
you see, when we are talking about the 9 to 5 and we build we industry and we do these things here, we press the record, and because we never want to go keep knock on the door. I think you overstand me now when we are talking, because you don't think say me I say that we wait for we have people stopping us.
Yeah, but the thing is, I do the exact same thing. I have a 9 to 5, I have my family to run.
Hold on.
Let him just finish his point there, Askala. Let him finish his point.
See, because what it is, right? You see, when you're there in the business as long as me, 40 odd years, seeing, you can make points from the history of the thing and how we come through to be here today where we are now. See? So when we are talking about what we did then, we did that so that we could be here today now to find out the way to move forward. See? So, and you're talking like, say, well, boy, we are put ourselves down. Remember I said, we are very proud people. So we're not going to go knock people door and them keep telling me no, and go. See, we are going to move forward with what we have. So
yeah, but Vivian.
Today, so me agree with you right now. Where we did today now is to find a way for progress with the thing.
Yeah, I think one of the first things that is required is some kind of union, right? Some kind of organization that could represent and speak on behalf of the artists and musicians, right? To just seek the rights, because I know for various reasons, a lot of artists don't really want to approach the system. But like I said, once it's more than one, then the system have to take notice. They must, and, we have to do things like placarding and picketing if they don't respond. They're quite complacent. They're quite happy for us to go away or for us not to even write, because they would have the same stupidness going on for years. Look, it's like slavery. Until the rebellion start, they would have us on the plantation working as slaves till now. You see, so we have to do something. And I know we do it with the risk of being ostracized, because like 6 months ago, I started to complain and write to some, and some people come back to me and say, oh, you can't say that, because, you're gonna offend people. I start to think, well, wait, if something don't sit right, I have to talk about it. I'm in this business like you, Vivian, 40+ years, and it either ring right or it wrong. And if it's wrong, no point in me grinning skin teeth with a man who's, to coin the George Floyd thing, stepping on my neck.
That's so true, Prof. Very true. And we really have to be in charge of our own destiny within this thing. Going back to your point about the white gatekeepers, until we are in those positions of power to let through the artists, to let through the music into the mainstream arena, we will be forever begging our oppressors. We need to be in control of our own destiny.
We're not begging.
We not beg them, Vivian. Me not say we are beg them. Me I say until we control our own destiny, we will always be begging the oppressor.
Okay, all right. Let me just read a couple comments, and then Kai can give us the next question. Barbara Russ says self support. We all need to support each other. So just talking about the same unity thing and building our own. We got Chucky Banton. He said the unity is not there. There's way too much ego. So again, a lot of people just referring to the fact that let's build our own instead of waiting on somebody to give it to us, because we've been waiting and they haven't given it to us. So it's time for us to go and get our own. And let me just read one more, and then I'm going to bring in Kaya with the second question. It says, come together in unity and build our own things. Don't stand up and wait for the mainstream to take up reggae music. Control it. A whole heap of people out there eating from reggae music and still don't support it or the artist. And that's a true point before we move on. A lot of people eating from it and they don't love it,
Real talk.
Yeah. Let me bring in Kaya anyway, and let's move on to another question. Kaya, you there, darling?
Yeah, I'm ready. All right. So the next question focuses on culture. Questions in two parts. So the first part of the question, when does cultural appreciation become cultural appropriation? And the second part of the question, how can people improve how they appreciate roots and culture without appropriating it?
So, well, I think, I've seen a couple of people in this business who come into this business as fans, right? They're keen, they're humble. I could think of one French song system, for instance. White guys coming to this business, keen, humble, they want to learn this, they want to learn that. They have manners. Then as they start to become more successful, especially in their home country, and as they start to get booked and accepted, then one day I met them and I couldn't believe it's the same guy. The guy is suddenly an expert. He's he don't want to talk to people. It's gone to his head. He's on all the festivals because a lot of people think nationalistic, and we don't think nationalistic. We're open. We're open and welcoming. A lot of them not like that. They're getting pushed by their brethren. They're getting pushed by the same people who, I don't know, maybe they're from the same something and plus they speak the same language. And they got this union and this unity that we don't have. And it just gives them such a power surge. That is when it becomes culture appropriation, because they now turn around, and in some ways it's as if they're laughing at us and saying, yeah, look how we could just come in your thing and we could blah, blah, blah. We're there, because this has got to be dealt with properly, because it's unfair. That's one of the reasons why even some younger generation Black people don't want to come into this, because they really feel that they have no chance, they have no fair chance. They're now getting fight within, again, racism rearing its ugly head even within something that they should really have a natural platform.
So someone has just said the same thing. They said it says that UK white artists have no interest in the Black reggae artists once they've learned what they need to learn. Would you agree with that, Vivian?
Yeah, them just take what them can get and just go on with it, See? And undoubtedly them learn everything from we as reggae people, whether it's from Jamaica or whether it's from right here in England, because I know I hear a song that a white reggae group did in England. I know say I might tune them lick it off. See? But through it, them lick it away different and thing. It don't make sense me I go even bother with that because you know what I mean. But I know say I might tune them lick that tune there off, and for them tune they even go #1 in our national charts. See? And those people I see them at even different shows and them would even look for me and say, oh cha, nobody that. But the thing about it is that I know what I know, and I'm not a person who licky, meaning say I'm not going to run and come friend you up and all these kind of things. Because I know what I have, and I give thanks to the Father for what him inputting on me so that I can go out there and perform it and other people love it and feel good about it and talk about it good. So I've always been kind of a soul rebel in a way with all of these things here. Seeing because I remember 2007, I had an album release and I called David Radigan. Say, David, I have a new album, and thing, and I can know, about an interview and thing like that. And him say, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to tell you the same thing I told Lloyd Brown. If you was between the age of 17 and 25, I could interview you. But because you are older, KISS is a young people station.
And I like that because even my album
and he said that to me very proudly. And I can tell you that because it's not somebody who come tell me something. It was me who up on the other end of the phone. I talked to him and him tell me that. Okay? Now him is an older man than me. See? And him tell me, he says a young people station. And the main thing what he said was, even though we interviewed Alton Ellis a few weeks ago, it was because he was terminally ill. So that means to say, if we're not dead then, him could have interviewed me.
Oh, gosh.
So the thing about it, you see, when people, I know people like these in the business, see, and I stay far from them because I know that, say, I am here in England, 1992, and I get a call from Irie FM Jamaica, wanted music from me to play on the station. So I never look for myself, so me I go worry about I'm on England and now play my tune or my fight against me. I'm not going to worry myself about that. I am going to progress. I am going to move forward. I am going to step on it. And when I step on it, I'm going to have to see it and I'm going to have to respect that. Because I never tell him no Jamaican bad word or anything like that. I just say, okay, have a nice day. We come across these things, and I know that people have bent over backwards for Mr. Radigan and other people like him to do things for them, and nothing get done.
Yeah.
So very true.
So
there I go.
Because one of our questions in the discussion thread is around Rodigan, and so to the panel, what do you think about David Rodigan getting a knighthood for services to reggae music? Why not Mikey Dread or Channel One?
Exactly. You know, as Vivian and Prof have just said, you know, they basically study us, then they pirate us, practice us, and sell ourselves back to us.
Exactly.
And it is so wrong. As you said, you know, Vivian's traveled, I'm sure Askala has, I know Prof has. I've traveled Europe, America, doing musical tours as well. And we know that there is a great appreciation of reggae music from white people, and we don't have a problem with that. But as you said, once they actually try to deliver our package back to us, and as Vivian has said, and as Professor has said, they even want to elevate themselves higher and even try to educate and, you know, show off even on our own thing. That's when we really do have a problem with it. Now, as you're talking of David Rodigan, you know, I mean, there is, in effect, a white person placed to replace each and every one of us, even here on this panel. You know, there's DJs, selectors, producers, promoters, artists, and they are more accepted. And this is the problem that we are having, and this is why it's so good that we're having these discussions.
Very true, sister.
Yes.
And it's so true because these things have been happening from since before even slavery. Before slavery, when we were kings and queens and empresses for true, and we really had, like, at the end of the day, if you look at who is the richest man who ever lived, I will tell you that Timbuktu is a real place, and it was a man called Mansa Musa. He's the real richest man till this day who ever lived. Where are our riches? Where the crown there? Where the gold there? It is in the white people, them banks, in the vaults. Where are our crowns? Where are all of our artifacts? They're in the museum that the white people them come and tease, fill with something them, so that they came and stole our stuff and then put it in their museum. And now we are going to look at our own things that they tease in our museum. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing happening over and over and over again. Even with our music, like the Sistering said, Sistering, there's somebody there that they want to try and replace each and every one of us. David Rodigan is them one give him knighthood for what I didn't know what it was that he actually does. He's done the same thing to Vivian, the same thing to Mia, and the same thing to how many other people, I'm sure. That, and I'm like Vivian said, I'm not begging no one to play my music, because I can just go to Jamaica and have Black people play our tunes, or go to a different place. He's not the only person.
But so, we pay tax here. We pay taxes to keep these people in employment. So it's unfair, you know.
And therefore we should be reflected.
Yeah, of course. Listen, David Rodigan run a black and white minstrel reggae show. All right, there's no doubt about it. It should be looked at just like we looked on the black and white minstrel show, and that has been banned for years. The problem is we all thought it was funny. Like even in Jamaica and the Caribbean, when they see a white man who's in his late 60s go on stage looking like a bank manager and cleverly put on a Jamaican accent and start to fling to dub plate, everybody say, yeah, man, this is funny. This is great. This is so amusing. And we laugh until we realize when the man go up on the show and earn 50 times more than the black artists, that's when the laughter stops. And that's when they seriously realize, this is no joke anymore. The joke is on us, because this is appropriation of culture. The man them taking the piss out of it. It's not funny. And worse than that, he is bringing along people who he see as himself, because that's his nature. He ain't gonna push Askala, he isn't gonna push Vivian Jones. He's gonna try and push a youth that could be him in like 10 years time, and that is the danger.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then
let me ask you this question, Allison. Sorry to cut you there. Someone's written in with a question, and it says, what can or what should, in the panel's opinion, be done by white reggae musicians to support the cause? He says, we often agree with the underlying issues, but through somewhat unconscious privilege, lack true action. What would you say to that, Allison? Did you hear me properly? Did I read it well for you?
Please repeat that question. I'm trying to understand the question.
He said, what can or what should be done by white reggae musicians to support such a cause?
Well, that's a hard question to answer. I think what white musicians can do to support the cause is to make sure that when they are being promoted, they actually have a conscience about it. For example, if it's a cultural event, we're gonna be having the reparations groundation on the 1st of August in Windrush Square in Brixton. So, sorry, excuse me. So for example, if a white musician was booked for that event, I would say they should use their conscience and say, you know what, this is an event all about reparations. It's a black conscious event. I really shouldn't be on this event. I don't feel that's a racist statement that I'm making. It's more just about having the discernment of spirit to know that certain events, that if you are there as a white artist taking the spot of a black artist, it could be inflammatory and it could be offensive to the predominantly black audience.
I would say more like that's the promoter. It's up to the promoter who they really want to be on the show. So the promoter, if the promoter is a white person, then they should. There's so many festivals that are reggae festivals, but there's one black person, like one black artist, and the rest of them are white Californian artists like Prof said earlier, that are making a bag of money in there, and their tunes are not catered to us. So we don't even listen to them, but they might make a whole heap of money, and they're making a lot of sales, and they're headlining all of these festivals. So I would say that to the promoters, to actually, if you're going to have a reggae festival, then book some reggae artists who are Black. And if you're an artist yourself, or if you are a musician, then at the end of the day, like I've had musicians, okay, that like Vivian said, or like Prof said, that you were the one who teach them and help to grow them. And now they reach a certain stage, they want to try and come back and use their ego and use their resources, because you see, a lot of them do have a lot of resources. So you go to Europe and they all have their own studios. They all have they are very united. So they have their big sound system. They all come together, and I don't know if there's one person has the money, but they're all, or if more than one person has money, but they're more unified than us, because they, like for example, Italian culture is more unified. They eat together. They do all these things together. So it's more family kind of orientated than UK kind of lifestyle. So I would say don't let me help you to elevate yourself. And now if I want to book your sound system, for example, you're going to charge me more than even your white brethren that for booking the same sound that I was the one who helped you to even progress. So I would just say to be mindful of these things, because at the end of the day, like you said earlier, Allison, we appreciate the fact that white people love reggae music, and a lot of white people love reggae music, and you go to a lot of festivals and it's predominantly white people that are supporting our music. So love for that. We're not saying that anything about that, but at the end of the day, when we teach you a skill, or when you learn from us and now you turn it around and are using it against us in a way, then that is where it becomes appropriation. For me, not only that, a lot of these people, because me a Rasta, I'm a Rastafari empress, okay? It's my liberty, it's how I live, move, walk, talk, and breathe. A lot of the appropriation for me is that I see it's not only white, it's cultural appropriation in this particular comment I'm making. That you have on your dreadlocks now, and you have flash up here, and you have Jah, and all kinds, and you do not even praise the Most High God. You don't even praise Jah, okay? You do not pray. You don't do any of these things. You just want to look the part. So it's not only white people. It's also Black, it's Asian. It's all kind of people I see that them a chant Rasta, and them a sing about Jah, and them a dip on stage, and they're jumping up and down, and they're saying Rasta this and Rasta that and all kind of something. But they are not Rastafari. 2 weeks later, you see that they cut off their locks and now they're ballad again. So these people, this is when appropriation, your appreciation now became appropriation. You're trying to take my thing and make me look silly. Not only make me look silly, but you're downgrading my liberty and making me look bad, because I am here fighting for Rastafari rights. And when I sing a song, when I write a song, when you see me, that is who I am, and that is who I represent. And at the end of the day, reggae music, it's conscious music. It's Rastafari music that we are promoting. We're talking about the Most High. It's message music. So some of these people are appropriating my liberty, who we are. So I don't appreciate that when you come and take my way of life and use that to make money. You use it to make money.
It's a joke.
Yeah. It's very interesting you said that, because I did want to bring it back.
I can say one thing before you move on. I want to big up all of my white friends them all around the world who play the music good and appreciate the music. See, just like how I appreciate and love the music. I know some of those people. So I'm not going to say, well, boy, there is no good in it and no bad in it. There's a whole heap of bad in it, but there's also some good in it. See, big up all the man them and the New Zealand band them. I met one of the bridge in them, and very talented musicians and things. And sometimes when I travel to a certain place around the world, the band that I'm playing is predominantly a white band. See? And I've never had no problem wherein me say, well, boy, them not gonna listen to me or agree with me because they love to get the teachings. And yes, as Prof said, man, them come in at the business and them take up this thing. See? Big up John Dub Vendor, see? You've always been a good helper to this business.
Yeah, man, John. Could I just say something? I think John is a good example, a perfect example of how white people could come in the business and even learn the business, but know just how far.
That is the problem.
Right.
That is the thing. I think you've hit
he's
the
a
nail
great
on the head
example.
there. Because we know there's good and bad in all, but as you said, they have to know how far to go, because there's those who will enhance the business and then those who will come to corrupt it, and to, as Carlos had the experience of.
And the love, I know some people around the world who love this music so much.
That's it. But as
I tell you this, I went to South Africa and they took me to a man's house. And this was just after apartheid finished.
What?
And some brethren take me to the house, and you know what happened? This man here, he's been keeping dance. So when him keep a dance and the police them raid the dance, him get the most beaten.
But as
I went to South Africa to a man's house. And this was just after apartheid finished.
What?
And some brethren take me to the house, and you know what happened? This man here, he's been keeping dance.
I think somebody
something going on there, but
somebody listening back to the Facebook feed, and it's taking over.
Right, yeah. No, we know that there is decent white people out there who appreciate reggae music, and as Prof said, they don't overstep, but then there is a certain element who will do it deliberately, and those are the ones that we have an issue with.
Yeah, I agree 100%, because at the end of the day, I have to say enough respect to a lot of people. I have to say respect to Rebel Lion, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even know Solar Banton. Like, I wouldn't know a lot of dub artists. I wouldn't have met a lot of people. So even for me as a young youth, I must have been 14 years old when they gave me the mic, and that was my practicing ground. So I have to big up sound systems like Rebel Lion, even like King Shiloh, because at the end of the day, they gave me as a young person the opportunity, and as an empress, the opportunity to practice. Basically, that was my practicing ground. That's where as an artist, you learn your craft. You learn to ride rhythm and all these things. So I have to big up people like Rebel Lion at the end of the day. But there's so many. We're not trying to single out anybody.
That's right.
At the end of the day, you need to know how far to go. And Rebel Lion, I would say, is a good example, because they even bring so many of us together in one dance, one sound, one show. So many of us, so many artists are together at one festival, and that's a blessing. So sometimes, like you said, they have to know how far
that's
to overstep, and it's when we're trying to take over the thing, like a Rodigan kind of thing. That's where that's the difference. That's where the overstepping comes, when you're trying to overtake the thing and try and make it your own, like you created reggae. Yes. And that is not the case.
And then as well, you have those, as soon as they do become in the industry, all of a sudden, they begin speaking in patois. They begin, these things is offensive to us. They might be doing it to try to fit in and to think that it's good and everything, but we find it highly offensive. It's actually very offensive.
And it's always a bad word that I say, like, don't talk them kind of chat to me. Like, I'm not really. It's always a bad word.
Some of them don't understand.
No, they don't understand at all, Prof.
The context, the context of it.
Yeah, they don't understand at all. I just want to I want to answer another question that's in the comments. But before I do, just as Prof said that they don't understand, can I tell you a quick story? I was in Poland and I was doing a television interview, and before it was like a radio television thing, And before I went on, the man said, please, whatever you do, Solo, you mustn't talk about weed. You must not mention ganja. Do not mention ganja. And the man carried on telling me this. Don't say it. I said, yeah, I got it. And he carried on saying it. Don't say it. Don't say it. I said, I've got it. I'm not going to mention it. I overstand. We're on the TV. I said, okay. I said, I've got it. He said, okay then. So he went back to the microphone and he introduced me. Yeah, man, now me have a big bomber cloud artist with the rare. I said, whoa.
We're laughing about it, but it's not really funny. We're laughing, but it's not really funny. Can you imagine? You know?
No, I put him straight one time. If you know me, I put him straight one time and said to him, listen, you was out here nervous that I was going to talk about a herbal plant, and yet still you're up here saying these bad words. Do you understand what these words mean? And I put him straight on the show. It was a different interview.
There's a whole festival with that name. There's a whole festival called that name.
Yeah, in Italy. Yeah, in Italy.
Yeah.
So let me just read another question for you. It's from John, who runs Roots Garden record label. He says, do the panel feel that the rise in popularity and focus on the roots and dub scene, in some ways dictated by white interest and taste in music, has weakened the quality?
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's a simple answer, no long thing.
Yes, no long talk about it. Because one of the main problem with that is that we find that the quality and the standards of the music that is being recorded is really poor quality. Really poor quality. You find some of them tune them just make with a man, just program a keyboard rhythm, bring, and put a bass line on it, seeing, and when you put that on the sound now, them just turn up that on this bass, on this thing, and take over everything. But the feel, the human feel, there is no human feeling of that music. And I find that even some of the roots and culture, black sound them, I play enough of them tune there too. See? They're playing those tunes where come out, them get from Europe, and give them all some little tune. And a lot of these tunes don't even have no singing on them, or just dub and some little ping and thing on it.
Electronic.
Electronic thing. So you know the thing about it, may I show you, say, right? You see, when them hear all a tune with musician, I play drums and guitar and keyboard and bass, it's like them no want that. Because them I get this whole heap of this techno thing kind of in a reggae thing, seeing, and it's like, say, well, once them put on them thing there, people them are not dancing, them are jump up and down like the Manchester United just score a goal. So you know what I mean? Them are not dancing, them are jump up and down. See? Because when music are playing, music play with rhythm and feel. So you move to rhythm and feel. See, the music what them they make don't have no feel, and them don't have no rhythm. See, I just some stiff thing like board.
Very true point, Vivian. No heart.
We can't have with big sound system them. I pick up them things there and I leave the great music, see the music behind. When me go a prof studio, you know, is drummer in there, you know, and guitarist in there, you know. And everybody, every instrument player in there, what we need for build a rhythm. No guy can come with them little keyboard and them little computer and replicate that. You can't make that. See?
You know, the problem with the white producers largely, they bring a practice that was more mono musician, one musician, and he's working, he could sometimes he can't play very much, and he would then work to a BPM. You know,
yeah.
they tend to work more.
Yeah.
What's that BPM? Let's get a BPM. And the music they make a lot of times is not based on a song, even dub. They just one guy playing everything, and then it's just stiff. It is missing all the spiritual content,
all the soul.
And, you know, that is a problem. And then to sell it back to us now, and to expect us to love and appreciate that.
And what they're giving back to us is just empty. It's just empty. It's like an empty barrel we're getting, you know. As you said, Prof, you know, the art, the soul, the energy, the spirit, all of that comes from within, you know, the bass line, the rhythm, the guitar pattern, the horn section, the drums. All of that comes from within. It's an ancestral rhythm. It's an ancestral beat. You know, it's something that we can only experience. They can manufacture it. They can try to emulate it, but they don't truly feel it.
And so what we're saying is then, just to round off before we go on to the next question. So again, what we're saying is, even if we go back to the difference between appreciation and appropriation, is really, if you're gonna make this music, then learn how to make this music. Don't, you know.
And also give the credit where it's due. Don't take the credit for something that you have not played a part in, or your ancestors have not played a part in. Don't take the credit for it. Give it its recognition. Give it its credit.
Same like Vivian was saying earlier. Don't just take Vivian's tune and make a tune which sound like his tune, and do not give the credit where it's due, because you can't do that, because we know CRT within. So even these tin pan electronic, I saw Starkey say, what? There's no waistline. You know, the bass
Starkey going the bridge.
Empty. So them something that they want to try and give it to us as artists now and say, yeah, man, I have a great rhythm. I have a wonder, and they send us something boring.
Soulless, no soul.
All right, let's just get ready to move. Let me just get ready to move on to the next question. But I just want to say what Askala said clearly, so everybody can hear. Starkey Banton coined it perfectly. He said, "There's no waistline to the bass line."
well, funny enough, Solo, before you move, let me tell you something. Yeah. When I was at school in England and the white boys hear us listening reggae, they would say, chicka, chicka, chicka. It all sounds the same, right? Because, and Vivian, you remember them days?
Yeah, man,
the man them was only listening to the rhythm guitar section. It's only years later they realized we actually listening to the bass line. You see, when they realize we listening to the bass line, they become obsessed, and now a lot of tunes, it's like bass dominated. It's like they're pushing the bass on overdrive without realizing bass, it's bass led, but in its right place, you know. So we coming into the next problem where a man don't feel it naturally, but from he discover his bass, then him just want to overdo it. Bass.
Yeah.
Hey, Prof, you know, say, for a DJ, them speed up the tune more than white DJ.
Right. Why is that now?
Okay. All right, because them a come from a dancehall vibe where them take up this thing, and as you said, the BPM, you know, thing there, you know. Them work off of that too, you know.
Okay.
See? So you go into a dance now, I'm going out a certain dance or a session, and you'll find said Dennis Brown a play, and Dennis Brown sound like Pinky and Perky.
I was just gonna say the same thing, Vivian. I was just gonna say the same thing.
So fast, see, and that again is the next problem, because you think about it, we now is like, say, we're all on this speed thing. All of us can run fast like you were saying, Bolt. So therefore, you know, when a man, we go into the studio and we make a tune, and we make a tune with that groove and that vibe, it better you as a DJ take up a next tune which is so fast like how you want a tune to go fast, then take 1 hour tune that we make with a nice, easy one drop, and I speed up that. Because you speed up that, you change the pitching of the tune, you change everything of the tune. See? So therefore, and I find so well, it's the same thing with these, enough of these European producers. They think that every tune have to be 100 miles an hour. See? So once it's 100 miles an hour, you can just jump up and jump up and jump up and jump up. See? So when we take it up as Philly sound man, them I take it up and start speed up the tune and them things there, you know, it just take away the natural vibration of the whole thing.
Yeah, maybe yes.
And frequencies, because you speed up a tune and thing, and it all go deal with frequencies too, you know. Prof will tell you more about that than me, because him sit down around the desk. I don't. See? Certain frequency in your head and things. Sometimes, I mean, a man said to me one day that he went to one of these roots and culture sessions and they popping pills. I said, what do you mean them pop pills?
All right. But hold on, Vivian. Let me stop you there. Let me just quickly cut what you're about to say there, kind of move on to the onto the third question. You know, okay. I just want to quickly bring up a point where somebody says, how can white people not truly feel the music when you see so many of their faces in a party and a festival? And I think you got the point misled there. Nobody's saying that they don't enjoy the music, they don't feel the music. We're just trying to point out that there's a certain spirituality
and ancestral connection,
an ancestral thing, and a certain an amount of quality and musicianship that is lacking. And that's the point that the panel was making.
No, just
I wanted to talk about that while they said that. But
no, just tell him about rhythm. Tell him about rhythm and beat.
Full of culture, yeah.
So Kaya, do you want to come in with that third question? Because I think we're approaching it.
Before we move on, I think it's really important to say on behalf of the people in the discussion thread that I think there's a lot of people sitting there thinking, how can we be more respectful to roots and culture? And we've spoken about that on the artist level and producers. So if we can just quickly bring it to the individual level, so people either attending a dance or working maybe in the scene a little bit, how can other people be more respectful and not show that they are appropriating, they are appreciating?
There's some festivals, I don't know exactly what you mean by individual level, like you mean like as a person attending the festival?
Yeah, as a person attending, she means about someone attending.
Pardon?
Like a person attending a dance, just an example. So I was at an Abashanti dance once, and there was a group in the front, and they were all black. They were Rasta man, Rasta woman, and you've got other young white people who love the music, and they're coming into this space, and they are dancing right next to them, and there is no kind of, I don't know if there's no respect, but there's a level of conscious level which is being overtaken. So how can people wanting to learn and be involved in the culture participate without appropriating?
Kaya, I think this goes even deeper than the music, because I think what happened over the years, there's been some like hereditary forms of racism coming down, you know, because Black people in England and in Europe only have been here for say a good 60 years, you know, of sizable amounts. And it's only recently we've had like a mixture of cultures coming in. And a lot of white people probably grew up in the days of, say, Enid Blyton and Billy Bunter, and those books kind of had Black characters, you know, as like Black people in a zoo, really, you know, and Black people to make fun of, you know. So now it come around wherein, you know, we come with our culture, and it's attractive to white people, you know, and they want to be a part of it. But then this gets confused with what they've learned as small. So maybe it goes back to the mainstream system that need to correct all the imagery that was done for centuries, because the kids were sold the wrong imagery about Black people, you know. And once we have that, and they come into the Black people, then come into contact with Black people, then comes the whole domination, wherein they don't even come in as an equal, but they come in to somehow dominate, you know, and or they come in to take the piss, you know. And this is where a re-education has got to begin, you know. That is what they could do.
Because at the end of the day, these things start at home. So on an individual level is for all of us then. It's like the entire world you're talking about, sorry, on an individual level. Because like, for example, when my daughter was 4 years old, like I had to teach her about racism because she was at nursery and someone was being racist to her. So obviously that's not something that happens in our household. We don't speak about white people in that type of a way. This is where the subject gets even bigger for me, because at the end of the day, why am I having to teach my 4-year-old child about racism? Because she's confused when somebody is being racist to her. Now, for me as a mother, like I was so angry the fact that I can't control what happens in other people's households. But like Prof said, it's a re-education of who we are. And at the end of the day, I see so many people, they have their cane rows, so many people of all colors, they are appropriating our culture in so many different ways, our clothes, our dress sense, our music, the way how we carry ourselves, like the whole thing, because it's attractive. It's interesting. There's so many interracial partners, there's so much going on, but the culture is being left behind. Do you know what I mean? So also, like, for example, I've been to so many festivals, for example, where it's a big festival, they're making money, okay? We're all booked for the festival, it's all good, it's a nice vibe, everybody's there. There's a lot of white people, Black people, majority of white people. However, you see the people working in the festival, yeah? There, not one of Black persons behind any of the bars, not one Black person is controlling any of the backstage, not one Black person is any of the runners, anything like that. Even the drivers are not Black. You see what the Black people are doing? You see in the morning, or when you're going through a sound check, their Black people are cleaning. There's not one Black vendor. The Black vendors are all in one little section, like over here, so like way in the back, maybe the camping site. And all the people in the forefront are white. And it's a reggae festival. They're all white people. Every single person backstage, every single staff member. The only people who are Black that you see working are the cleaners.
Or the security guard.
Yeah. So that kind of thing now, I don't respect that.
Yeah, okay. Listen, our time is running short, you know. And we've been on that topic for quite a while, even though I always felt that 2 hours was going to be way too short with so many intellectual beings in one area at one time talking about these things. But let me just bring in Kaya. Kaya, can we squeeze in another question before?
Yeah, we can, Solo. Got one more question for you. Okay, so this one relates a little bit more to the recent ongoing events with BLM, and a lot of people in reggae have been quite vocal about issues. Whether that relates directly to race or not, but this question is there a problem with some artists not being vocal about the issues today?
I think there's a big problem with that. Because, big problem. Because, you know, one aspect of reggae has always been social comment, right? It has been expressive even before Bob Marley come along. You know, Bob Marley started it. You know, reggae has always been, it's like part of even calypso, wherein if you want to know something, you'd hear it in the song, right? When you want to hear about the queen, the man in the queen bedroom, you'd hear it in the song, from, you know, from Sparrow, whatever. And reggae would always have songs about issue, but yet, you know, that's why I had to write that article after George Floyd's death. No reggae artist especially of any stature, made any comment. You know, you had people in New Zealand protesting, which is like a white country, Australia protesting, even Japan, people all over, people in Italy, Spain that used to be quite redneck, protesting. And yet the reggae man them quiet. No, that is a problem, you know. And when I investigated further, I realized, okay, they really, well, someone in Jamaica told me that if they talk too much, they may not get a visa, or they might stop the work permit. And for reggae artists not to have a visa to go to America, they're in trouble.
It comes back to us, like Black people, watering themselves down, watering down the message to please white people, or to get the booking, or to get the visa. It comes right forward to that again, like us, you know, not sticking to our quality and getting this is message music, worrying about what people are thinking and what the white man's gonna say. They're not gonna play your song on BBC. It comes right forward to me again, round to the first question, basically, that we're watering down, people, or reggae artists are watering down their self to please. They will rather talk about pure nastiness and gal underneath and all these things just so that they can sell music, rather than talk about social issues and talk about what is happening, or try to educate, or just try to elevate. So at the end of the day, it comes right forward again to money, as far as I'm concerned, and the quality that people, they don't respect the quality of the music. It's us. Like, we can't be watering ourselves down just because we're scared that we won't get a visa, or scared that we won't get a booking. We have to find a way to prevent that, because at the end of the day, otherwise we will always have the kneel on the neck, like he said earlier. We will always have a George Floyd situation. It's not the first time, and it's not the last time.
Yeah, let me just bring in Vivian. Yes, Vivian.
Right. You see the Black Lives Matter thing? I'm not joining that club. So you're not going to hear nothing from me about that. I big up that. I put that in any way. See? Because, you know, me's a man where me study things. Even sometimes I go write a tune, me study that. Whether I have to draw a Bible dictionary or whatever, me I go study that. Because me no want to put on something on record that is incorrect. And as for the Black Lives Matter, see, we should more think of ourselves as Africans, seeing our Moors, seeing than black, because black is not my color, is not my identification, because one has to be identified with a place, a country, a culture. See? And if you check out the organization Black Lives Matter, you must check it out, and when you check it out, you see the misrepresentation of I and I in a Black Lives Matter.
Mm.
So it's not all of us who is going to join that club. Because
what about if it's not about BLM? What about if it's just artists being vocal in general about issues as they come up?
We've always been doing that.
That's what I was about to say.
Let me give an example of just myself alone. See, New Cross Fire, I did a song about that. Stephen Lawrence, I did a song about that. Grenfell Tower, I did a song about that. So when it comes to with social and with liberty, I have never strayed away from that. And we must not just jump on things, because me as a man will watch football, and if you watch football, you see everybody taking the knee. It's because they've been told to take the knee. It's not because they're doing it from their heart, because they feel that way. They've been told to do that. When have we ever had the BBC promoting something, Black people, Black culture, as much as they've promoted this Black Lives Matter? We as Black people, we must know what we are doing, and we must look at things.
Yeah, can I
we must not just jump on the bandwagon of things. We must look into things. Let me get one last thing. Anyone who wants to join that and be happy about that and think that things are going to change because of all this Black Lives Matter and things, it's fine. I don't have a problem with you. See? Yeah. But as for me personally, me not jump on nothing. Me I go look into it before me decide say me I go do that.
Yes, okay. And I understand what you're saying, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and I agree with you. You know, there's been reggae songs for decades and decades, you know, championing the cause of African people, our survival and unnecessary survival. So when you say there is a lack of current artists doing that, there's many songs out there at the moment that are talking about the race issue and racism on a worldwide scale. There are many songs out there by artists.
All right, so sorry, Prof. Let me just, I want to jump in quickly then and move, because time is running on though. So let me ask you a question then. Cause I know there is, because that's all I make. And I know many artists, that's all we make. So then, is there a lack in selectors, especially our own selectors, especially Black selectors, playing these music then? And being happy to play other kind of music, being happy to play other messages in the music.
No. You're going into something that is a spectrum as the rainbow. You know what I was going to say, the Black Lives Matter thing. What I think they have done, regardless of who they are and where the money comes from, what they have done, they have highlighted the problem we as a people had and the systematic racism that is not just literally in America with like the policeman on a man's neck. In France, it showed up problems. In Australia with Aborigines, it showed up other problems. In Brazil, it showed up other problems. I think, regardless of what, you know what? I've heard the stories that is some gay girls and this and that, but that don't bother me. I think what they've done, regardless, they've publicized this thing. I think we have to pick, like anything else, we have to pick the sense from the nonsense and take what's good for us and then move on, you know?
I agree that we have to use the momentum of the movement.
Yeah, man.
To get what we want and make our demands heard. Absolutely.
But that's the thing, as Black people, what do we want? We need to have an agenda. So there's no point just marching all the time with no agenda. There's like, this discussion is good, but we have to have an agenda. Like, what is the objective ultimately as Black people? We need to know what we are doing as a unity, as together. What do we want? There's no point just marching for no reason.
You see,
because sorry, Vivian, when you have the momentum, this is when you literally, the ball is in your court now. Now this is like, if we all contact BBC, then they will listen. Now the ball's in our court, then we can actually demand something. What are we demanding?
Yes, media and media control.
Representation and reflection.
Yeah.
And we pay for that. We pay for that.
Yes, that's exactly. Right. We pay our license. That's right, Vivian.
We pay because for that,
you see, the glass ceiling exists thick above us if we don't have media control. And why must we have to have the boss on the plantation? Where them name Radigan or whatever.
One last thing I go say to you. One of the greatest things come out of this Black Lives Matter, you see, is that it shows that there is more people who are not racist than people who are racist.
True that.
That is the greatest thing me see come out of that. See? Because what they expected was like, you know, there are going to be so much people who are racist and who are going to fight this thing and thing. No, it wasn't like that. People came out all over the world, whether them know the fullness of the Black Lives Matter thing or not. They came out and show support, saying, said them no racist. So we know, so we have more people who are not racist than people who are. See? Out.
But one thing we have to always remember, Vivian, you know, the ones who are in the positions of power, who have their foot and their foot on the neck of reggae music. They might not be racist, but they have that subliminal
legacy
privilege, and they have that subliminal unconscious bias. You know.
Well, say the thing about it, you know, reggae music, and me I go boast now, because sometimes me can talk, when I talk, me can boast. Reggae music are the greatest music in the world. Because the amount of fight where reggae music get, no other music in the history of music has ever gotten such a fight.
And it's still getting a fight
today. Still there.
And we still a struggle. That's why we always...
all of them have to take things from us.
Always.
Everything. All of them, this popular music of today, when you hear them, any one of them come out with a little reggae strumming night or anything like that, it's gone.
We are sufferers, we are overcomers, we are survivors, and that's
the music of the people. Are the people, because here what happened, just like how we get the big fight, and we've been getting the big fight since the days of slavery, seeing we've been getting this big fight. We still getting the big fight. All right. You see, when I tell us I'm not join the Black Lives Club thing matter, I'm not join that because here what happened now. Seeing, even though they're talking of Black Lives Matter, what did they say? Them have a brother named, why name Matt Hancock or something from the government. Him said, Black and ethnic minority people forget the vaccine first. Now, isn't that racist? Isn't that racism?
Of course.
Where come from we?
Yeah, of course. This is why I said from the beginning, you know, we are the lowest class in society on many, many levels, you know, and as Prof is saying, we need to take this momentum. As Askala is saying, we have a positive, proactive plan in place, and we need to use the momentum to strike now with the movement.
100%, I agree, Sister.
Thank you, Prof. Prof,
bless
hold on, Prof, you there? Where Prof there?
Because I wanted Prof to quickly talk about the thing that he's organizing with the march.
Well, I can talk about that. I can let you know about that.
All right, then please do, because as Askala was talking about what is the objective.
Right. There's three things we can do at the moment. The first one is to write or email Tony Hall, Hall, at the BBC and complain to him about equal representation and reflection of us as licensed payers. That's the first thing.
Who is Tony Hall? Who is he?
Tony Hall is one of the
he's the managing director
of BBC.
Oh, okay.
So we need to, and one letter, can I just stress, one letter represents 50,000 people views. So one email or one letter represents 50,000 people. So we need to get writing. The second thing we need to do, on the 1st of August, we need to get down to Windrush Square in Brixton for the Stop the Mahdavieh, the Reparations Groundations gathering. And then on the 3rd of March, we're going to take
August.
all the, sorry, 3rd of August, Prof. We're going to take all of that up to the BBC. So we've got to write to Tony Hall, be at Windrush Square on the 1st of August, and then be with the protest on the 3rd of August at the BBC.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna read a couple comments before we close and say thank you to everybody. Somebody has said here, Jamaican music is about everything, good and bad. Rasta cannot claim as their own because of the likes of Bob Marley.
Tell him just cool. Just cool. Nobody say nothing else.
You don't know really what you say.
Just tell him don't say nothing else. Everything cool. We understand.
Yeah.
Not overstand.
When you come out, you will see who said it, because everybody knows who said it still. So I'll let you have the conversation on that one still. There's something else I wanted to find and say to you quickly. A guy called Steve Williams said, guys, I am white and I met your music before I met any black person. Please keep going. You define your culture. Not all whites are greedy gatekeepers.
Big up, big up, big up.
Well, we know that. We know that, as we said, we're not here to assassinate any race of people, you know. We're standing up for our music.
Okay. So I'm just quickly going through some comments because the time is running short. Someone else has said here, black UK artists matter.
Which is right.
Tell him big up. Tell him big up.
Yeah, man, we'll tell him big up, please. So listen, what we're gonna do, we're closing down. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who was logged on and watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please stay tuned. I'm sure we're gonna do this again because there's just so much to say and so much intelligence in the room. It cannot be confined to just one episode in such a short time, you know. I'd like to say thank you to the panel. Allison, thank you very much, sister. Love.
Blessings and honor.
Yes, sir. Askala, Selassie.
Yeah, man. Love, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Thank you for everybody for coming in and being a part of the discussion. At the end of the day, it's everybody's opinion and we have to voice it in order to move forward. So whether we agree to disagree or whatever the case may be, whether you're white, black, purple, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, unity is strength. So we're just putting the thing out there so that we can move forward. We need to start from somewhere.
Yes,
so
sir.
Thank you to everybody. Jablet.
Thank you, sis. Thank you, sis. And to the legendary Sugar Love, Vivian Jones. Thank you, sir.
And love and respect to everyone. Seeing, and as we say, we're not here to come chastise anyone. All we there is attack the truth. Seeing, and you can't go wrong with the truth. See, so when we attack, and me personally, me talk from experience. So it's things that I got through, so I know. And now, last thing, Professor, enough respect and big up yourself, seeing for even the BBC thing there, because now me can come in on the thing now and contact them to BBC and say, yeah, seeing, so respect for that, because you make the move. And so we can step with it, you know, and follow the thing. See?
Well, thank you guys.
So as you said that, let me just again big up Matt. As I was bigging up the panel, I just want to say thank you very much to the man himself, Mad Professor. And if you could please again, sir, could you please tell the people about the things that we was talking about, the 3 things that Allison already said that we needed to do?
Yes, well, we've got to write into the BBC, right? Tony Hall. I don't have the email address in my head, but if you Google Tony Hall of the BBC, you'll find it. Then come on August the 1st, Windrush Square. You will get a variety of artists and performers and who will be speaking about their experiences. And it's going to be a fun day because it's part of the reparations committee, right? And then On the 3rd, we're delivering a letter and full of content to the BBC because our voices must be heard. It's important that they know it's not just one person with a grudge, as some people seem to think. So they could see, and I'm glad that the panel feel like Vivian, Allison, Askala, yourselves, and even a lot of white people, the guys down in South Dubhart, they're all behind us, you know, it's not just black artists, and they all want a more level playing field for everybody to thrive and get a chance, okay? So thanks to everyone for being a part of this.
Respect.
Give thanks. Kaya, would you like to say anything, Kaya?
Yeah. The only thing I'd like to say is thanks to the team behind this, getting this together, a couple of moderators that have been working with the discussion thread and putting this out online. The last thing I'd like to say to the people that have been involved in this discussion the whole time, if you've got any suggestions around some of the things that the panel members have brought to us, we'd like to hear some contributions really for how we can work with a solution approach with some of these issues that we've raised, because they are important and it's time for us to get together now and have this discussion, but also to continue working together. So thank you to the panelists, thank you Solo, thank you everyone tuned in.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna echo the same thing and say thank you. Big up Rebel Lion as well, Positive Vibration, who are working in the background, helping us to go on. Thank you to all the panelists again, Vivian, Allison, Askala, Neil, Mad Prof. Thank you, Kaya. Thank you everybody for logging on. Please keep those comments coming in. We have recorded this and we will be uploading it, so you can tell your friends to watch it back again. And please stay tuned for any other activities that will be taking place towards the forwardment, if that's a word, of reggae music, especially UK reggae music, authentic reggae music, you know. But thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
A pleasurable evening. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Come on, bless up.
Love and more love.
Yes, I. Give thanks.